Hey folks, welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by the Blackview DR900X Plus dash cams. These things are ridiculous. They are super powerful, compact, sleek. They look good on your dashboard. And with the Blackview DR900X Plus model's new and improved 4K ultra high resolution front camera and newer Sony StarVis sensor for the rear camera, you can be sure that you will capture all the important details on the road during the day and at night. I love this Blackview dash cam because it gives me the peace of mind that my car, day or night, is always protected. Whether I'm driving and looking to capture the craziness that goes on the road, maybe grab myself a viral video or protect myself from insurance fraud, with the seamless pairing feature, connecting with the Blackview app, transferring those videos, and setting up the dash cam for cloud connectivity, it's easier than ever. But what about when you're away from the car? If I'm honest, more bad things have happened to my car when I was away from it than when I'm in it. With built-in voltage monitoring, you can leave your car protected by Blackview's parking mode without fear of draining your car's battery. And thanks to the optional LTE connectivity module, the Blackview DR900X Plus Series dash cam always keeps you connected to your car from anywhere. This means you can receive impact notifications on your mobile device, check in on your car with remote live view, and rest easy knowing that live event upload saves impact footage in real time to the cloud, including the all-important 5-second pre-impact buffer. The new mobile hotspot function allows you to turn your LTE-connected dash cam into a Wi-Fi hotspot for up to 5 devices. Turn your dumb car into a smart car. The DR900X Plus Series model comes with an optional rear camera, which you can get now or add later on. So go to blackview.com/TST. That's BLACKVUE.com/TST and use code TIRE to get 10% off any Blackview dash cam, but especially the DR900X Plus. Free shipping for orders over $200. So go to blackview.com/TST and use promo code TIRE, 10% off any Blackview dash cam. We're also brought to you today by Innova, and we've been talking about Innova a lot on that show. You should buy one to keep in the car, keep at your house, keep in the garage, because you never know when that check engine light is going to come up. And if it does, there's all ways around it. Some people try to cover it up, unplug it, or dismiss it as an unsolved mystery. But the fact is, your car's not working right. That's why it came up, and you need to know how to find out what that light means. So with Innova, you can easily identify both the problem and what it takes to fix it. It's like having a personal mechanic in your pocket. I love Innova because it takes all the headache and guesswork of trying to take care of a vehicle, right? If you know someone or know someone like me, Innova is for you, and here's why. 3 steps. Step 1, you scan the code, right? Connect your Innova OBD2 diagnostic tool to your OBD port, and using features like hotkeys and the patented all-in-one display, scan your vehicle's onboard computers to detect for any malfunctions. With step 2, you can verify by pairing your tool with Innova's all-new Repair Solutions 2 mobile app. You'll now have free access to over 60 million fixed solutions that are verified for accuracy by real ASE certified technicians. In step 3, you can fix it because Repair Solutions 2 is the complete solution. In the app, you'll find troubleshooting information and even be able to order the right parts for the job. If you still got questions, Innova's USA-based customer support team is always available to help 6 days a week, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Innova tools speak your car's language, so you don't have to. You can buy Innova tools at all major automotive retailers, Amazon, and Innova.com to find the problem and fix the problem. So go to INNOVA.com, search for it on Amazon, or ask for it at your local automotive retailer. Find the problem and fix the problem. As always, we're brought to you by Off the Record, the official one-stop shop for getting those points off of your driving record. Listen, there is some truth to the fact that highway enforcement is about safety, but there is more truth to the fact that it is a financial ecosystem in which the police and the insurance company and the government are extracting money from you. You're just trying to get to work, and you should never, ever, ever plead guilty to a moving violation. Why? Because Off the Record is here for you. It's their job to keep those points off of your record. How do they do that? They do it by pairing you with a qualified attorney in your home state or the state where you got the ticket to fight that ticket for you and get the points off your record. And if they don't get those points off your record, money back guarantee, folks. They cover 97% of the American population, and they have a fabulous, fabulous success rate. We've had so many emails from people who have used Off the Record, and it's saved their behinds. Even other automotive journalists, our friend Jeff Glucker, our friend Dave Patterson, they have both fucked with Off the Record with incredible success. And so go to offtherecord.com/TST or use code TST10 on the Off the Record app. And that gets you 10% off all OTR services until May of 2023. offtherecord.com/TST or code TST10 at the Off the Record app. We're also, lastly, of course, well, we're not brought to you. If you don't want to listen to me read these ads ever again, you could join our Patreon. Patreon is for our most fervent supporters. For a very small fee each month, you can catch our shows live as we record them and ask questions of us and our guests. You can have a totally ad-free listening experience, both from audio and video. You can have the show ready the second after we finish recording it, same day instead of waiting until Tuesday, Thursday schedule. So you don't have to be like, hey, when's that show going up? It's up right when we are finished recording it. And of course, the Pro Driver podcast, which is an extra 9th podcast, also ad-free, exclusively for our Pro Driver members, that will never be published in the normal podcast feed. All of that is available at patreon.com/The Smoking Tire Podcast. Of course, nothing will change with the regular show. Tuesday, Thursday shows, audio and video, all the guests, all the news. But if you want more, if you want it now, and if you don't want to hear me read ads, you can get all of those things at patreon.com/The Smoking Tire Podcast. We've got a pricing level for everybody. It's very affordable, and it's a way for you to support the show without having to buy t-shirts you don't want or other swag. It's just good extra content coming to you faster and coming to you better at patreon.com/The Smoking Tire Podcast. Alrighty then, on this episode of the show, Formula Drift driver Taylor Hull is in studio, along with his manager Tyler, talking about coming to Formula Drift from circle track racing, cannonballing, what makes a good drift car, what makes a bad drift car, the challenges of starting a drift team with very little money, and really interesting guest. I didn't know how well this show was going to go because I hadn't met Taylor before. It turned out to be a very interesting show. We covered a wide variety of topics, and he was really great. He's racing in Long Beach this weekend, and it's Taylor Hull, a Formula Drift driver on the Smoking Tire Podcast. That's from my friend Tony. Nice thing about having a place like this, people keep bringing you booze.
It could be worse.
They just show up with it. It's great.
That's good gifts.
It is all right. Yeah. And apparently whatever you brought, Auto Art, Pikes,
speaking of gifts, Tyler,
it's not exactly a surprise. Auto Art, Pikes Peak Sport Quattro S1.
Yeah,
Auto Art is the good shit.
Yeah.
That's good shit.
It's one of them. There's a lot of good brands, but
Is his mic on? Why don't I hear Tyler? Say some things, Tyler.
Yeah. So.
Oh, that's better.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
Perfect.
more better.
I'm gonna open that.
I haven't even opened it yet, but
Well, I'm gonna.
I wanted you to.
Yeah.
So I kind of thought this would be cool because I know you like late '80s,
I do.
and I know you like rally racing.
Oh, shit. You got a key or a blade? We need to cut. I need to cut some tape.
I have a.
They just got off the plane, probably
Zach,
no blade.
I have
No
a metal
blades.
credit card.
Oh yeah, that'll work. Oh, you got
There.
the Amex Black.
No
You got the hot-
Centurion, sir.
Yeah, buddy.
Not today. Maybe one day.
I know.
Folks at the airport tend to frown on blades.
On blades. I'm stoked on this though. I collect auto art.
Oh, very cool. Okay, awesome.
I have. Oh, it's the wide body.
Yes.
Did you see I have the early one downstairs?
I had no idea. I just
on the rack downstairs. I have the Stig Blomqvist early one before
cool.
it had all this.
Yeah, no. This was the first time I've been here. I just thought with all that, and I know you and Zach kind of have some affiliation with Pikes Peak, I thought it'd be kind of cool.
Walter
Sick.
Roll.
Yes, it has to be Walter
Pikes
Roll.
Peak Hill Climb Audi Sport Quattro, short wheelbase
Look at all the flings.
with the high downforce.
There's 2 flings.
Thank you so much. This is such a
Yeah.
kind gift. I'm gonna.
I thought
I
about
have to
like
unbolt it from the foam, but we'll do that later.
I know a lot of people bring you alcohol, but I was like, maybe this is a little different.
You didn't have to bring anything. I appreciate it. This is a fabulous gift. That rules. That's going on the shelf forever, and you can have your credit card back now. Thank you, Tyler. That rule and Taylor, both y'all.
Yep.
That's fabulous.
We have way more booze than we have those.
That's
so.
true. That's true. Did you see the lockers in the members' lounge? I've taken over 4 of them now.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
Is that all?
That's a lot. Yeah.
You guys just get to town?
I flew in on Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah,
you're
I
chilling.
flew in this morning.
Oh, so you feeling it?
Yeah. No, I'm good. I'm good. We travel a lot, so we're good. I'm ready.
Yeah. Racing this weekend.
This weekend.
What is the schedule like?
So this Thursday, or excuse me, we have.
Today is Thursday.
Yeah, it varies from event to event.
Right.
Friday here is practice and
Okay.
qualifying. Saturday is competition.
Okay. And what do you think about the Long Beach circuit? You've raced here a bunch of times, right?
Not a bunch of times. I've only been here once. I tried
Okay.
to come here a couple times. The first time I tried to come, we didn't get the car done in time. It was quite the catastrophe. And then, of course, last year with COVID, they canceled the event completely. So I only
you
came
weren't
here in
already
19.
here when they canceled it.
No.
Okay.
They killed it well ahead of time for
Well,
us.
because normally this event is in the springtime. It's in April,
Yeah.
and now we're here in September. So but you have raced the circuit before.
Yes, one time.
And is it fun?
Yeah, it's wild. It's probably the weirdest sensation of any track in FD because, you know, like the Indy guys too, you go around a corner and it's blind. You can't see until you are in the corner and through it what you're coming up to next. And
True.
it's that same way, corner to corner to corner, and that's unlike anything else on the circuit.
Yeah, I've only driven it in high performance street cars. I've never driven it in like a race car.
Right.
So I've never done it in the kind of speeds that you guys are, entering in. Your 100-mile-an-hour entry into turn 1. It's fucking intense.
It is.
with walls, very, very close.
Yeah, the way we initiate at turn 1 too, like if you're wrong, if you miss it, you can't fix it. Once you realize that you're in there too deep, you're just going to trash the car.
It's just a wall. It's a wall, right? I mean, you're kind of going in
coming
blind.
straight on at a 90-degree turn. If you're in there too hot, you're wrecked.
Well, because all of Long Beach, so it's in a drift circuit. It's a big long straightaway, a fast entry speed right.
Yep.
Into a transition left where you're increasing your speed through the corner.
Yep.
And then the hairpin to the right.
Correct.
And then you finish.
Yep.
So it's really all entry speed.
Yeah, you enter fast, you pick up speed, like you said, after you get through turn 1, you pick up a little bit of speed, and then you're bleeding as you're transitioning into that last hairpin.
But despite the blindness of the course, it's not a particularly difficult layout if you could see the whole thing. It's pretty simple.
It's a very simple course if you can see it all.
Yeah.
But, especially when you get in behind somebody in tandem and you have not only the blind turns, but also the person in front of you smoke to deal with, it becomes very treacherous because if you put your car in the wrong position, there's walls literally everywhere. If you mess up here, you're going to hit the wall.
Yeah, and they do.
And we will.
Yeah, people will. It happens.
Yep.
There's the scariest thing about drifting to me is that you have to do it blind 50% of the time.
Right.
I mean, that to me is it goes beyond car control and it goes beyond, speed. It's just pure confidence, right?
Yeah, confidence, muscle memory, and just some blind faith there a little bit.
Are you also, as you're like in practice, when you're doing like solo runs or if you're ahead in the tandem, are you looking off course at things you can use to place yourself when you can't see ahead of you?
You can to some degree. You're looking for, different course indicators, but really the best favor you can do for yourself when you're in the chase is to be as close as you possibly can, because the closer you are, the more out of the smoke line you are. But when you're transitioning,
because the smoke's actually going under your car at that point and not straight into it.
Yeah, but if you ever get a car length 2 or more behind, you can't
see shit, right?
It's over. It's game over. You're literally just guessing at that point.
That's fucking.
I've been there a couple times already this season. If you put yourself out of position, it's game over.
And it's the same thing for Formula cars in the wet.
Right.
You watch that. You see that new Shoemaker documentary on Netflix just came out. Did you watch it?
Yeah, it was really good.
I cried a little bit at the end. It was very sad.
I haven't gotten to see it yet. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, you don't have to watch it to know how it fucking ends. It's not great, unfortunately. But there's a part of it where Schumacher is catching up to someone in a heavy rain, and he's going to be lapping somebody. He's winning, obviously, and he's going to be lapping someone. And I believe it's... Who was it that he rear ends at super high speed? Was it Damon Hill?
I believe so.
I think it was Damon Hill. Yeah, in the Williams. Mm-hmm. And I think Damon Hill was trying to do the right thing by pulling over and lifting a little bit. Right. But even so, he had a big spray, and Schumacher fucking rails him, and rips the whole right side of his car off, and, he just couldn't see a thing. That's the scariest thing to me, is just having to drive without seeing.
Yep, it's hard. That's the hardest part in this, and it's
how do you get over that hill? Like, when was the first time you did a tandem where you couldn't see shit and you were like, oh, this is what I'm dealing with?
My first practice session when I moved into pro. Yeah,
so in the Pro 2, is that not such an issue because there's not quite as much smoke?
It's not as big of an issue. It's more now than it was then. I did Pro 2 in 2015 and 2016, and it was early when that series had just started, so the cars weren't making quite as much power. We didn't have as much of a tire rule then as they do now, so we could run big tires. When you're running big tires with low power, they don't make as much smoke. Now they're required to run a smaller tire so you can get that wheel speed to get that smoke that you see. But when I first went to pro in 2017 and lined up at Orlando and entered in behind somebody and wasn't nearly as close as I needed to be, it's like, holy shit, this is, I can't see.
Yeah. That's got to be a scary fucking moment.
Yeah, it is. Fortunately for me, I was at Orlando, and I was so far behind, I could kind of see on the bank turn. It's a banked oval track, so I could see on the turn. But then when we got into the infield, I totally got lost. But I was not.
I guess the banked ovals do you favor there, right?
They do.
Yeah. Irwindale. Irwindale's a big, fast entry, too.
Yeah, it's shooting the smoke off in the opposite direction, as long as you're on the bank. Now, when you come across, anytime you're transitioning, you're blind at that point, at least for a moment.
Yeah.
Were you a little used to that kind of thing because of dirt oval, like when mud gets sprayed up on the visor on the windshield, or was this more difficult because it's just all-encompassing?
So I did a little bit of dirt oval. I mostly grew up doing asphalt oval track, so that's you don't deal with quite as much of that with the asphalt.
Do you get you don't really get the oversteer as much on the asphalt either, or is it?
No,
it's pure short track. Nasty,
loose
racing, right?
Loose is slow on asphalt. I did dabble in the dirt stuff a little bit. And of course, you have the visor tear-offs and all that, and it is somewhat similar to a degree, like on starts and restarts with the dirt. You gotta pull a tear off, but there's no tear off to pull when you're behind. Chris Forsberg throwing up a full wall of smoke. You don't get to grab a tear off and suddenly you can see again.
Right. I wonder why no one's figured out a system. Like either periscope or like some kind of thing that like blows air that clears it out. I feel like
a fan car thing.
Yeah, I feel like there could be a system.
Well,
an engineering
in
solution? In
all seriousness, I've thought about this before, and I've seen Chelsea Denofa have one on his car, like one of those huge sticks with a camera hanging off the back of the car.
Yeah.
So I think there's a way where you could do that and have like a live feed to some goggles or something like that, and have like VR in the car and basically look like you're driving.
That would be augmented reality.
Look like you're driving your car in Forza.
Yeah. You hit
like a third-person view
to fucking be up here.
I think it could be done. I'd love to be the.
I feel like to do that live, the tech is like a half a generation behind, but we'll get there.
It's close, man.
It's close.
It could happen.
Because
It'd
the
be
drones
pretty
are
cool.
shooting 4K live broadcasting to the Formula Drift broadcast and going out on the internet.
Whoever that guy
real
is who
good.
flies that drone rules.
Yeah, they're very good
What's
at it.
that guy's name?
Well,
He's
there's
got a
FPV. Matt
Johnny
for a while.
FPV.
Johnny
Yeah.
FPV.
But there's a lot of them now.
That
and
was
they're all
such a
very
game
talented.
changer.
It was cool.
I mean, it's when you're watching the feed and that's you're like, holy shit, this is the fucking angle, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like I was at the Eagles. I went to school in Philly, college in Philly, and when they opened Lincoln Financial Field, which is where the Eagles play now, they left the Veterans Stadium, and they wanted to make a real big fucking splash, right? So I did a couple things. One, Pat's cheesesteaks in the fucking stadium. Two, the biggest HD TV ever installed at the time. It was like 96 feet TV, and then the cable cam. It was the first time the cable cam was ever used.
Was a game
and the
changer.
cable cam was like, on the Jumbotron, you're like, holy shit, I'm watching Madden up there. And you know what I mean? And same thing with drifting. When they busted out that live drone, I was like, fuck, this is how we watch this shit.
Yeah.
So sick.
Yeah, those FPV drones are hard to fly.
Oh, yeah, it seems
Not
very
easy.
tough.
Yeah.
Well, have you seen the drone racing, the FPV drone racing, where they do it like inside a warehouse? It's real crazy. It looks so sick.
Yeah, they're extraordinarily talented to be able to do that.
So we met a rally driver in New Zealand named Alex Kelsey, who is a fucking badass. And he rigged up a defogger system for his rally car because it gets real humid where he was rallying. It was like a one-off car that had like no production parts on it. It was a crazy thing he built. And he had an RC jet engine. Like actually what you would use in an RC jet airplane blowing on his windshield. And he'd spool that shit up and you know what I mean? But like that windshield stayed clear as fuck. So if you rigged up in the car an RC jet engine, it could blow it out like pretty fast, I think.
Just aiming straight up off the hood. Creating this like cool little envelope, like a wind tunnel where it goes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you'd almost
positive
need it.
air pressure
Yeah.
over the hood.
Yeah, you'd almost need it forwards or maybe
Right.
one on each corner.
That'd be
That way
wild.
when you're at an angle on each side, you can blow it away from you or
That'd
something.
be funny.
It would be cool. And when you guys, when you're doing aero on the car with your setup, are you accounting for being sideways at all, or is it really just pure GT wing downforce?
So you'd have to ask somebody smarter than me on that, to be totally honest.
I just turn the wheel.
Yeah,
and,
we
hit
don't deal
clutch
too
and-
much with aero. So to be totally honest, for the most part in drifting, in my opinion, I don't think we're really going fast enough for it to come into full effect. We're not, doing what they do at Road Atlanta when you're running,
150
LMP. Yeah.
over a negative G corner.
Now,
yump.
with the exception of that being, if you put a huge wing on the back of it, it will change the grip level of the car. But beyond that, not really.
No, so you don't even you just mechanical grip and horsepower is how you roll.
Absolutely.
You got the ATS-V
We do.
and running a LS based motor,
Yeah,
right?
LS7.
Did you even ever attempt to run with the 6, or did
Absolutely
you yank
not.
that shit out right away?
Absolutely not.
No, I bought the car for $2,000 as
Fuck outta here.
as a wrecked, not even rolling shell.
Oh, okay.
I found it at a scrapyard out in Dallas, Texas. Motor and trans was already gone. Interior was already gone. It was kind of the perfect candidate for me to build a race car out of.
A fan the other day asked us in the chat, should I ever buy a car that had an airbag deployment? And Zach's answer very wisely was, well, it depends on what you want to do with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. So it was where you just kind of what's available, or did you go, I think an ATS would be a good platform for this?
So I knew I wanted to build something unique, and kind of the brand that we've built now and what I wanted to go toward was American cars. I feel like that's kind of who I am, who we are.
The cowboy hat.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
It makes sense. You wouldn't expect me to step out of a Miata.
It would be funny. I mean, with your accent, if you were driving, a BMW, I think it would be hilarious.
Yeah.
Or a Miata, but it would be very subversive. But I
We would fit
understand.
in a Miata. For people who don't know you, you're like 6'4",
you're tall.
6'5".
Yeah,
So a Miata would look like
rather
a shoe
large.
for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have driven one a handful of times, like from a parking lot to a gas station, and decided it wasn't for me.
Yeah, yeah.
S2000 is about as small as it gets for me.
But you probably have the knee problem with the S2000 and
Absolutely.
the non-adjustable steering column. A fail in an otherwise brilliant car.
100%.
That's a
great cars. I
Great
love
little
the cars.
car. They're worth a bunch of money now. But like, what? No adjustables. My fucking knees don't
Very
work
uncool.
here. Yeah. But so the ATS, I mean, it's American, but did you go, okay, I could find a Mustang or a Camaro, and this is a little different?
Yep. So the second step to that was I wanted to do something that was unique and that had never been done before. And twofold. One, it was awesome because I'm the first one to ever do it, and it had never been done, and that was what helped us garner a lot of attention and some of our sponsorships and all that, and that was great.
You'd be like, I'm classy, folks.
Right.
None of this fucking Mustang bullshit. I'm in a Cadillac.
Exactly. I had hoped for Cadillac to be like corporate to be able to jump on board, and we had some interest initially, but it never kind of came to full fruition, so didn't work out. But the flip side to that is I had to be the one to do all the R&D for everything. Of course, we had some help with some partners and whatnot, getting things to fit in there, but with the suspension design and the knuckle design and getting the LS7 into the car and the 4-speed and the winner's quick change, like there was no template for this to have ever been done before.
Were you able to turn that into a market? Is someone else? Is
No.
there? No. Nice. So all the R&D is just purely in this car.
It's a bummer because the chassis is really good.
It really is.
It's really
for
good.
those that don't know, it's an Alpha chassis. And it's very, very similar to
Alpha
the
chassis
Camaro.
are fucking awesome.
Yes.
But that twin turbo 6 is the most boring 470 horsepower you'll ever make in your life. I mean,
I agree.
It's unfortunate that GM was unable to learn a very obvious lesson, which was put a stupid V8 in this thing, and you'd have a home run.
Yep, even better than the ATS-V in my opinion.
It's shorter whailbase. The steering rack is incredible. I mean,
it's a really good car.
Yeah, we're waiting on the new Blackwing, which the press cars haven't hit here yet. We've been inquiring pretty regularly.
I feel like you'll have one come through here at some point.
Oh yeah, I mean it'll get here eventually, but everyone's talking to the parts supply shortage and blah blah blah. It's hard to get. I don't know what the fuck, but that's what they say. Everyone's got an excuse.
It is what they say.
Everyone's got an excuse.
Taylor's like, you think there's a parts shortage? I built an ATS-V. You
Yeah.
want to talk about parts supply?
Yeah. When I
There
go
isn't a
out,
parts
and
supply.
hopefully I don't, but if I go out and kill a wall at Long Beach, I have to build that part.
Oh my gosh.
Is that really what your life is like? Building everything from scratch that you need?
Absolutely.
Wow, what a pain in the dick.
Yeah. Again, we have some great partners that have helped us along the way, but if I go out and kill 2 knuckles this weekend and a lower control arm, I've got a jig at the house. I'm going to go back and build them again.
Wow. I mean, I guess it makes you, very resourceful.
Yeah, you have to be when you either have to have a lot of money or you have to be pretty resourceful, and I didn't have one, so I had to do the other.
That's the lesson we hear a lot from drifting. Yeah. Is you got to either have someone buy you all the parts and you just show up and drive, or you have to learn to make them yourself.
Yep.
Yeah. So did the LS fit in there without a lot of modifications? I mean, obviously you did a lot of modifications, but like if someone wanted to build an ATS-V street car with an LS, is it possible?
It could be done.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be done. We made it a little harder than it had to be in some areas. Like most people aren't going to put a 4-speed transmission behind one. If they do it, they're going to probably do, an automatic more than likely.
Or a 6-speed.
Yeah, or a 6-speed.
T56 or
Mine's
something.
got a side loader 4-speed transmission, so I had to cut some of the trans tunnel out for the linkage and whatnot.
Is that like a Jericho or something?
Very similar.
Yeah. They're not.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very
they're fucking
violent.
gnarly.
Very violent.
Yeah.
I can hear the transmission over anything else in my car when
When it's
driving.
working, it sounds broken.
Yeah.
So, that's how you know it's working.
Yeah,
good.
if it ever quits
If it's
making
quiet,
noise,
it's
you're in
broken.
trouble.
Back in the day, I had a Shelby Cobra replica that had a fucking Jericho in it, and it was
It's the coolest thing ever.
It was really cool, but it was also fucking just terrifying.
Clutchless shifting there is nothing greater.
That's fun.
Was it like a Superformance?
It
or-
was a super performance. It was a death trap.
I bet.
It was a fucking
I bet. So
death
what
trap.
did you have, like the 289, or did you have like 427?
So I was 24 when I did this, and I was real stupid. And having never driven any Cobra before, I said, the 427, everybody's got that.
The 289's the hidden gem.
Nope. 289 doesn't make enough power. Now, 39 years old, the 289's the fucking tits. Back then, what can I find that's the next level up?
Right.
And there was a guy named Dennis Olthoff who was the distributor for Superformance in the Northeast, and he had his personal Cobra for sale, which had an ex-Bill Elliott 353 cubic inch NASCAR practice engine with an MSD limiter that limited it to 6,200 RPM instead of 9. So it only made 600 on pump gas with a Jericho crash box, and it was a fucking death trap.
I've got one of those.
What, one of those motors?
Yeah.
No, I got a street car.
Let him tell you about this
Do
car.
you? What is that? What do you got?
So I've got a 74 Plymouth Duster.
Oh, cool.
With a Ernie Elliott 350.
Really?
That's it right there.
Yeah.
Let me see it. Oh, look at that.
That's it.
That is the fucking queen of the South right there. That motherfucker, isn't it?
That thing looks tough.
It is wild.
Who else was in here who had a Duster? Was it Forsberg? No, another drifter.
Tony Angelo.
Tony Angelo has
does.
a Duster.
Yep,
he was
have
in
one.
here with his Duster. Yours looks like it's ready for circle track.
Yep, it could be.
That's
it's got
a
a cage.
fucking nasty bitch, that thing. Look at that. Wow.
Yep, it's a Mopar X Evernham NASCAR motor and Jericho 4-speed transmission. Before it was like that.
Yeah, but you're a professional drifter. I was right out of college.
Yeah, it's scary.
I'd never even gone to a driving school at that point. Not even one. Not a day at Skippy,
it's
nothing.
for sure not for the faint of heart.
Oh, here you go. And here's your drifting it,
that's
too.
right
Is it
Atlanta.
set up for drift?
It was
Ish.
more set up when that picture was taken than when the one that you saw before that was. Right there, it's got a 5.3 LS in it and a T56.
Okay.
That's the trim that I took it on a cannonball run from New York to Los Angeles.
Jesus
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
It's a loud trip.
Were
I bet.
you on those like Cannonball Facebook groups and part of those organizations, or did you just one off it?
Yeah, no, we were part of the C2C Express in
Oh, you were?
2019. So that was 40 cars, 40 of us driving across the U.S.
And this is the vintage car one, right? The old
Yep.
car one.
Yep.
My friend Doug Tabbitt out of Ohio, who's a fucking nutter and great.
Love Doug.
He's all about that shit with his fucking. I think he had a 442 or something from like 78.
Yep.
Real malaise era shit. But he kind of sleepered it out. It was cool.
Doug's the best. He just came and did one of my events that I put on like this. I call it the Southern Classic. So people that have seen Smokey and the Bandit will be familiar with what that is. But it's in the original movie, they all meet up at Lakewood Speedway, which is now Lakewood Amphitheater in downtown Atlanta. And go obviously to Texarkana, Texas for Coors Banquet beer, and then back. And they're supposed to do it in less than 28 hours. So I've created an event that we do once a year. Obviously, we don't get a tractor trailer full, but
I
we
recommend
go,
you do.
Yeah, maybe we will at some point. But we go and get a 6-pack of Coors Banquet and drive back, and
I like that.
fastest time wins.
I like that.
Doug
And
just came and did that
period
with us.
cars.
We haven't done all period cars up until this point. Next year will be a strictly period car. The rule is right now you have to do it in a pre-1983 car, and if you don't, you have to bring it with you. So if your 1983 car doesn't run, you got to tow it behind you.
Oh, shit. You got to do it with a trailer and a 1983
Yep.
or before. That's kind of funny, actually.
That's very funny.
Period
That's a good time.
Cannonball,
Yeah.
I think, is more interest because during 2020, how many times was the Cannonball record broken? Like 6?
Several.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was ridiculous. And
Absolutely.
a bunch of them, once they finished, they stashed their cars here until the truck came home.
Yep.
I saw both of Doug's wonky ass, the Mercedes and then the Audi that they made look. The Mercedes they
silver
made look like an
passenger car.
Accord. Well, they made it look like an Accord.
yeah.
It was incredible. The
And then the
detail.
cop car.
And then the
cop
Audi that they
Audi.
made look like a Taurus, which is what you can do with vinyl is amazing.
It is. They were very smart with the way they did that.
But the times
Staggering.
were
Yeah,
staggering.
what's the record right now? Do you know?
25, dude.
25, 30.
It's in the 25.
So what was the record before COVID?
When Ed did it?
Ed was
it was
28.50.
Wow.
I mean, so not Brock Yates. David Deem and Doug Turner, 1983, did 31.59 in a Ferrari
Or
308.
32.07. I can't remember.
No,
Richard Rawlings did 31.59.
32.07 was
32.07
David Deem
was
and
it.
Doug Turner in the Ferrari 308. Rawlings and Collins in the Ferrari 550 did 31.40 something in the 31s. Alex Roy then did 31.04.
Right.
And that seemed nuts because the level of preparation that he had to do that.
Right.
And then, obviously the technology has come quite a long way. The level of performance of cars has come quite a long way. I mean, that silver fucking thing that Doug and Arnie had, that car,
C63 AMG,
no,
right?
it's an E63 with an AMS Alpha 9 package. So
Right,
that's a
900
900 horsepower car that has 65 gallons of fuel in it.
Well, don't they look like for
Shady.
what is like 60 miles an hour to like 120 as fast as possible. Because obviously
Pretty
they're
much.
accelerating,
Yeah.
braking,
Yeah.
accelerating, catching traffic.
Yeah.
So it's like if you can accelerate in that small window
Correct.
as quickly as possible, that's kind of ideal, right?
some
You know, the
degree,
60 to
but
130 number is
Yeah,
what, you
they
know,
hang
right.
it. I mean,
Look at this Audi that they did with these fucking giant plastic fuel. I mean, you're driving a bomb.
Yeah, this
So shady.
This picture was not done by a group that we'll call in the community, really.
Although I like wherever it was taken with the triple stackers.
Yeah.
whoever
It's a
shopped
good-looking
it-
picture there.
Whoever shop that is, they've got triple stackers and they've got a big ass fans on top, which I really like.
Yeah.
So.
But I mean, the
Yeah,
car
those
they
fans
have
are killer.
Yeah, they went a
Big ass
little
fuel
rogue on this
cells
one.
ratchet strapped into the trunk.
Shady, super
was-
shady.
yeah.
Alex Roy back in the day proposed to me that we could break 30. This was before anybody did. That we could break 30 in a rented minivan, 0 stops, 2 seats and
Just fill the
fuel.
whole thing with fuel.
And he was like, "We could do it," and I'm like, "You could do it. I'm not fucking dying for this stupid shit." It's fucking
Yeah,
crazy.
you're gonna really impress 6 people.
Yeah. I was like, all these people that give a fuck, I don't need to impress them at all. I mean, I had to say, like, I am impressed when someone does it. I go, wow, that's fucking sketch. You know,
It's not
and-
an exaggeration, though. It's like me and you and like maybe 100 more people that are really into this.
That care, and nobody else cares. But the period cannonballs, I think, I like that concept way more.
I do too, and that's why I want to set the events that I'm part of like that. And it's for a couple of reasons. One, when you come up to the start line or the finish line, you see a sea of cars 83 or older. It looks awesome. It's great for
Yeah,
pictures.
absolutely.
It's cool. And 2, it keeps the speeds down.
Yeah.
Naturally.
You ever heard of Beetle Ball?
No.
Google Beetle Ball. Beetle Ball is a race in Volkswagen Beetles.
I like it.
And it is a flat out street race because you can't do more than 70 in these fucking
Yeah, they
things.
don't even know you're
Yeah, I don't
racing.
know. Yeah, you're racing and just in traffic, like not even really
That's
passing
hilarious.
people. And are they still doing it? I haven't heard about it in a couple of years, but
We got bearings. I don't think
make
it was all that popular.
Zach, make Beetle Ball one word. I think Beetle Ball is one word. And
Okay,
yeah, there
yep,
it is.
There we go.
Nice.
Yeah, 450 miles flat out at 70.
I like it.
That's
See,
wholesome.
this is my kind of race. You know what I'm saying? Like let's race Groms, you know, or
Take some of the
fucking
danger
Vespa
out of it.
50s. Yeah. Because then you can, race.
Yeah, when I was talking with Doug and Arnie about their run, I mean, they have snapshots of them running 193 miles an hour, something in that ballpark. And I know that they're both very, very capable drivers. My biggest fear at that point is you're coming across the hills in Pennsylvania at 190 and a deer steps out in front of you.
Yeah.
It's over.
Don't get me wrong. There's places in Utah or Nevada, where if the car's right, you can safely do that
Yeah.
speed. Straight up.
I believe
Straight
that.
up. I don't care what the law says. You can go 200 miles an hour.
Capable driver in a capable car.
Yes, in those states. But at night, on the East Coast or the Midwest, that's that deer
There's a certain
shit.
level of sketch
Yeah,
that's just outside your control.
yeah. In a vintage car, what kind of speeds are you doing? Is it you keep more around 90, 100 kind of thing?
Yeah, so like this past year, I ran a 70 Roadrunner that I kind of converted to be like a Superbird, it looked like something straight out of Joe Dirt. But
I
basically,
love a Rat Superbird.
Yeah,
That's fabulous.
Yeah, it was cool. And we averaged like just over 90 miles an hour.
Yeah.
We did it in 14 hours and 42 minutes. It was like 91, 92
Oh,
miles an
this
hour
is
what we
the
averaged.
on
Southern
the Burt
Classic.
Reynolds thing.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So, and it'd be something similar. And, if we took that car on Cannonball.
that's a little more reasonable.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
There's a chance maybe you don't go to jail if you get. If
You might
get-
be able to talk. I mean, in an old enough car, you could talk your way out of shit.
Yeah,
People have a sense of humor if you're in an old enough car.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I had my to-do list written on the side of the door of this car to put it in perspective. I called it my to-door list because I couldn't lose the list if it was written on the car.
That's hilarious. Like literally, like a fix passenger
yeah,
side.
like wiring and passenger window and stuff like that. Yeah,
That's funny. I think we could take that to the extreme. Like cars 1940 and older. Like we could run some old
Just
shit.
don't do 500 miles because it'll
I'm
take
about
days.
I know, like Milli Millia,
Right.
real proper classic.
That'd be fun, man. It's
would.
fun to drive old stuff.
Yeah, we're doing Zach and I and my wife actually are doing the Dubai Milli Millia in December, which
That's
they've
gonna be
invited us
awesome.
to do, and they're providing us a car.
Wow.
I don't even know what, but my friend Johnny Lieberman's doing it too. And the homie hit me up and he goes, Johnny wants something German. Shocker. And he goes, would you be okay with something Italian? And I was like, of course, whatever. But he won't tell me what it is. So it'll probably be like some old Alpha. Yeah. But I'm thinking it would be nice if it was a 250 short wheelbase. It would be nice. It would be nice.
Or Daytona, something. Something that works really. That's what you want.
Yeah. So let's take it back to drifting for a minute, because I feel like drifting is a sport where the drivers really seem to be having a good time. Is that what drew you to the sport? Just the fun factor of it?
It really is. So I did asphalt oval track racing from when I was 13 to 21, 22, and I just kind of got burnt out on it. I got to a point where I just started looking for something else, and I had some friends at the time that were into drifting. I'm like, well, hell, I'm just going to sell everything and go try something new. And I never really had any aspirations to go and do this at this level that we're doing it now. One thing just kind of led to another, but absolutely it is the most fun that I've ever had behind the wheel of anything, and is also the type of driving that pushes you to the absolute limit every time you're behind the wheel, whether you're by yourself, in tandem, whatever. What is asked of us on the courses, especially at Formula Drift, no other form of motorsport pushes you to that much of a limit, because they're wanting us to run walls, and just a slight miscalculation, you're building a new car.
Yeah, I mean, even Formula One is crazy. To watch the best drivers on board, they're on edge. But to be at those tolerances above the level of grip, beyond that level of grip it's just a different thing. And I'm like a shitty amateur at driving. I'm not very good, but I've gotten the opportunity to drive some pro grade drift cars, and it was the most fun I've ever had in a car.
Yeah.
And even like a mild grade drift car, like a basic drift car, is about the most fun, because you have this flow, where it's all feel. It's not like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just all like, you're letting the wheel move in your hands, you know what I mean? And you're just
unlike anything else.
It's fucking real cool.
It's really, really cool. You're right.
Yeah. What does it take to go from, okay, I'm going to try this, to I'm now going to try to go for a Pro 2?
So our path was, I got a car. I bought a S13 240 that someone had started an LS swap on and gave up. So I got the car sight unseen, got it trucked in from Louisiana for like $4,000. It was
this
great.
Is becoming a pattern. Great
deal at the time. Yeah. So I got this thing and finished it and took it out to some local events, and I kind of couldn't leave well enough alone. And I'm a competitive guy. When we get up, I'm going to beat you to the door kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So I pretty quickly started competing at local grassroots levels, and started having some success over the course of a year or so. And then eventually saw that there's some what they call Formula Drift sanctioning series around the Southeast. We had one in the Southeast at the time called Streetwise Drift, and I recognized
I've heard of that. Yeah.
At the time, they give out, and most of the Pro-Am series is what it's called, Formula Drift Pro-Am. They give out 3 Pro 2 licenses or Pro Spec licenses for the top 3 in points at the end of each year.
Oh, okay.
So I competed my first year in 2013 in that. Didn't do good at all. I blew the car up twice and didn't make 2 events. It was a disastrous year. And then came back the next year and ended up finishing 3rd in points, which was the last spot that got a license. So barely squeaked in.
Were those all local events?
Local around the Southeast, Charlotte, Atlanta, Florida.
Okay.
Some travel, but nothing like we're doing now.
Yeah.
How did you... Just to go back, so in 1 year you went from I broke the car twice and I didn't do very well to, oh, I got my pro license. Gee, that worked out. Like, what was that middle year like? Did you practice every week? Did it come naturally because of your racing background before that, or how did that whole evolution go?
So it sped up the process a lot, having some driving background previous to this for sure, and I won't deny that. But I, at the same time, had to unlearn a lot of what I learned in oval track racing, because loose is slow, and you don't want to do that. Like, I remember early on when I was drifting, I did not let the wheel just flow in my hands. I looked like I was in there swatting bees because I wouldn't let the wheel out of my hand. And I finally learned, to just be okay with it and catch it at some point. But the real answer to your question is developing the car to where it wouldn't break. So then I was able to get more laps in each one of the events that I went to, and the more laps you get, the better you are. So
durability is a virtue.
The key to getting started is having a car that will let you run as many laps as you can.
For sure. Yeah, we just learned that this morning. We went to go drive the new Lamborghini, which we'll talk about on the next cruise show. But they were very big on the fact that this Huracan has won 24 Hours of Daytona 3 years in a row with the stock powertrain, the powertrain you get in the street car. And they were like, you don't win Daytona 3 years in a row if you don't have a powertrain that's just stout as can be.
Absolutely.
And Huracans are fucking stout. I mean, they run twin turbo, 2,000 horsepower.
Yeah, they're pretty fast too.
Yeah, they're pretty good. They're pretty good. But they're right. If you were to buy one of these and take it to a track day, you beat the balls off it all day, 100 degrees, and you're not going to blow it up. I mean, you don't have turbos. It's a pretty understressed engine. It's
right, overbuilt, understressed.
Yeah, that's a good way to be. Yeah. So what was that big fail point in the car that you worked your way around?
It was just a lot of little things. Wiring was a big thing, and I had a stock engine at the time. I mean, stock, and I had a couple bearing issues. I was having oiling problems, which coincidentally is the same type of problems I ended up having on the Cadillac when I first built it. I didn't learn my lesson the first time, apparently. But yeah, just oil starvation and wiring put us out for those couple of rounds, and me just not being very good put us out the other 2 rounds.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's there's mechanical sympathy you kind of need to have while beating the shit out of your drift car.
Yeah.
There's actually a line, and you can cross it. Yeah. What do you do? So when you're running high Gs, you run a dry sump? Is that the answer, really, or is it just heavy baffling?
For me, it's heavy baffling. I'm building a Corvette for next year. It'll be dry sump on that.
It's like a C7?
C6 for us. Taking a lot of the cues from Matt Field and the things that he's done to be successful in his car. And
what will a Corvette do that your current car won't do? I mean, it's a lower center of gravity, which is good.
So it's a couple of reasons. One, it's still a unique American car. There's only one other person out there, which is Matt Field, that has it. So I still get my uniqueness, and I still get my American. But the biggest reason for the change is it's a little bit lighter of a car. My car's not outrageously heavy, but we're on a little bit smaller tire as far as the field of Formula Drift goes. Nexen is a great compound, but is limited in the sense that they only offer up to a 275. And the way that FD categorizes what tire you can run is how much your car weighs. So the more your car weighs, the bigger tire you can run. So my car, being 3,300 pounds with me in it, could run up to like a 315, and I've only got a 275 on it.
Shit.
Right. Yeah.
So there's a pretty big disparity there of what I could do if I had either 40 more millimeters of tire or 400 pounds less in the car, one or the other. So that's the other piece of it. I want to build a car that's 300 or 400 pounds lighter than mine. The Corvette's a little bit shorter wheelbase.
Would a Corvette at 300 pounds or 400 pounds lighter than yours run a 275 rear?
Yeah, it would.
Oh, that's small for a Corvette.
Yeah.
Even a Corvette street car is like a 305 rear.
Basically, you go up 10 millimeters per 100 pounds.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it works. Yeah.
So.
But it also has a little bit more aftermarket support than the ATS-V.
That's the second level of it, is there's a ton more aftermarket support. When I tear up a body panel or a knuckle or rear suspension component, I can call one of these aftermarket companies and I can have one 2 days later.
Yeah.
If they don't have supply shortages.
Yeah.
It seems like the Corvette is the new trend, though, in high-level drifting, pro spec and pro, right?
Not so much in pro and pro spec. There's across the top 2 series with FD, as far as I know, it's just Matt that's doing it.
I think Colette just bought one to fuck around with, didn't she?
Yep.
They're fucking in town. Colette and Adam are in town.
Adam's competing.
Huh?
Adam's competing. He's
Them fucking hoes didn't call me. I said, come do the show.
Dude, that guy is so... I mean, I agree. I want him on the show,
said,
but
come
he's
do
so
the
busy with that giant machine of things.
I
It's like
said,
a fucking
come do the
circus
show.
in town.
We are not on the priority list for these folks. But you know where they got invited?
I'll slap them
The
around. when I go
Dubai
back.
Millie. They got him. I hit them up. I was like, yo, let's go to fucking Dubizzle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll door him in practice for you.
Yeah.
Yes,
You
please
should have
do.
gone to fucking see Matt, you fuck.
But yeah, Colette's got one. They've kind of exploded in the grassroots market, actually more than the pro
C6s
market.
are cheap now.
They're cheaper. And they're pretty good right out of the box. You don't have to spend a ton of money on them. They're more expensive to get going than maybe like a 350Z or something, but not a lot more expensive.
Well, it's like one of
the
those,
level
and you
of
don't have to
performance
swap
is
it.
way higher for a Corvette.
And they don't have
than a
that terrible
350.
noise coming out of the exhaust like
Very
the 350Z does.
Wah, wah. I know that noise.
And I've got a 350Z, so I can say that, but they sound terrible.
They do.
the only car that sounds worse is the ATS-V stock engine.
That's
I think.
probably
The
true.
ATS-V stock is a terrible sounding
Nissan's
car.
like, "Whoa, what'd you guys do?"
Yeah. Oh, you guys fucked up.
The Vet, though, it's like everyone kind of woke up after a night of drinking and went, why don't we stop putting Corvette engine in 240s to build a Corvette and just buy a Corvette?
Maybe they just ran out of 240s.
I think that
They
is
also ran out of
Naoki
240s.
said that's actually happening. He's like, it's so hard to get parts for
It's
his school
outrageous.
cars now. Steering knuckle, steering box, fucking ignition. It's like it's so hard to get them now. He's trying to move on to something else.
Naoki's going to be building Camaros. I can feel it. You know, have you ever met Naoki Kobayashi? He runs a school up at Willow Springs here called Drift 101.
Yeah.
Great guy, great school, great people up there. If you wanted to learn, drifting, he's got 240s, he's got a 350Z, he's got a bunch of different stuff, and he's very patient and very encouraging, and just it's a great place to learn and practice drifting. But yeah, I'm not surprised. He's gonna be running Camaros and Mustangs the next 2 years for sure.
Probably.
Yeah.
He had an E36 and E46, but they break a lot. And I was like, yeah, duh.
Well, that's good news for me. I just bought an E46, so I have already experienced that they break.
I tested one that a guy had set up for drifting and had an LS in it. Great balance. It drove really fucking nice. It was cool.
They're still pretty competitive. Dylan Hughes is doing pretty well. And then Mike Essa is also right up there.
He's run one, since they were building
know.
E46s
Yeah.
new. So.
Isn't he running like
sticker.
some V10 or something in that thing, or is he running LS?
No,
he's,
it's S54.
yeah.
Oh, he's running an S54?
Yep.
Oh, Jesus.
Someone, I know who you're talking about, I can't remember who built that white E46 with the V10.
With the V10 in it.
Which
it was a
is some
fucking
shit, but I
nasty
don't think
bitch.
it's not a comp
yeah,
car.
it was cool. No torque,
Yeah,
though.
Michael generally has pretty good luck out of that deal, and he's making, he's pushing 1,000 horsepower out of that thing.
That's crazy.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
What are you going to do with yours?
So I bought a E46, I bought a 05 Mustang GT, and I bought a 05 350Z. And it's funny you were talking about the schools. We're going to be starting a drifting school. We're calling it Drift University in the Southeast. I'm going to tour it around a little bit.
Nice.
Yeah, not necessarily have a home track, so to speak, but
Live out of a semi?
yeah, a little bit. We've had, we have a lot of relationships with a lot of tracks around, where we are. So
That's a really good idea.
yeah, we'll go take them over to Birmingham, Montgomery, up to Knoxville, Nashville, Memphis,
Will
South
you use
Georgia.
like Lanier in Atlanta?
Maybe. So Lanier's a little bit of a unique situation. They just sold Lanier.
Oh, no.
Yep. The same people that own Atlanta Motorsports Park are buying Lanier, and they're going to make it into like an oval version of club racing. Or
Wait a minute. Like country club racing?
Yeah.
Like country club oval racing?
Basically, yes.
Get the fuck out of here.
I'm not. I mean,
Like
I can if you
No,
want.
that's just because out here, they've got
Yes.
the hoity-toity. We've got the thermal in Palm Springs.
Yeah.
They've got Spring Mountain outside of Vegas, and it's road courses, hoity-toity country club, and they're dope.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine that formula applied to oval racing.
Yeah, these are like where you wear your really nice overalls.
So interesting. That's really crazy. And you think that's gonna work?
We'll find out.
Do these
It's a
crowds combine?
It's a unique model. I'll say
there
that.
There
I don't
are
know.
people with money that race, in circles and sponsor NASCAR teams and run NASCAR teams. Like,
I don't know what the whole model
I
is
don't
going to
know.
look like.
I don't think that's the case. There's rich folks who drive short track oval.
I
Yeah,
think
there are.
There are a
there are
lot.
pros.
Really?
There are pros that
There
go
are
and race, but
and
they
just
fuck
for
people
fun.
up.
Okay, maybe
Yeah.
I don't know the market. Okay.
Maybe even more that do dirt, and you might be surprised.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, that.
but there's
like sprint cars or like the modified stuff. That
both.
Both.
And and this is kind of getting off on a tangent maybe a little bit, but this is a lot of why I got out of asphalt oval racing is that exact reason
because of the gentleman drivers.
No, because of it's turned into, for the most part, a sport really just for the rich. When you get to late model racing, especially on the oval track side.
It's crazy.
Really?
Because they're trying to feed to NASCAR. They're trying to make that.
Everyone
step.
has the dream that their kid's going to be the next Jeff Gordon, and most of them are wrong, but they aren't going to shy away from spending millions of dollars trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
When I was in Atlanta, hanging out with some folks that I like very much, they took me to a dirt oval at night, and it was like a Saturday night race.
Yep.
And as we walked through the paddock, they were like, "That's Jeff Gordon's kid. That's Earnhardt Jr.'s kid. That's etc." And it was all the kids of the and they had rigs. Yep. They had these little sprint midget,
they got $500,000
midget cars on a hauler.
What should be a $2,000 race car.
Yeah, on a hauler. And I was like, oh, this is a fucking thing, isn't it? And the racing was brilliant. It was really fun to watch. These kids were 12 and like really sending it. And I was like, oh, this is fun as shit.
They're talented, and they should be for the amount of time they get to spend behind the wheel of cars at their age that they're at.
Yeah. But I guess it does make sense that it's the children of whoever that are coming up.
Yeah, I mean, when you can afford to spend correct me if I'm wrong, $20,000 on a set of shocks for a late model.
Yeah.
When you're competing against Bubba's Speed Shop down the road, trying to put something together.
Well, I thought it was all Bubba's Speed Shop.
Yeah,
I guess not. No.
Running a tire shop out of the front and a race shop out of the back, you can't keep up anymore.
Well, at those same the country clubs on this guy, it's the kids of the hedge fund people, and they're in Porsche Cup cars.
Yep.
And they've got the money
kind of thing
to have proper driving instruction and all the seat time you could ever want, and and they're racing $300,000-$400,000 Porsche, Ferrari, Cup cars.
Yeah. So it's I don't know that the model
I didn't
maybe.
realize that extended to oval racing, but I guess I would.
It used to be, I think, less common. Like I've heard stories from
it's changed.
Dinner with racers. They'd say
in the
like
last 15 years.
Some guy was racing oval trying to come up. He's like, Dick Trickle would show up and just fuck people's night up because he'd win. But he was like the one guy that would show up, and now it's lots of them.
He was my favorite. He was a fucking man.
Dude.
That video, it's 30 seconds on YouTube, is just the most iconic. And here's Dick Trickle having a cigarette during a caution flag. I mean, amazing video.
Mark Martin had a great story where he raced. He was like 19. He goes out on this oval race. And he qualifies first by like a 10th. And he's like, oh, yeah, qualified first. And he's like, they're about to close qualifying. And Dick Trickle pulls in with his truck, with his car on a flatbed. It's idling to warm up. It rolls in and gets like tech. And he goes out and sets pole by like 2 seconds and then comes in and yells at Mark Martin. He's like, if you're going to qualify for first, you don't break it by a 10th. You fucking asshole.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Dick Trickle was such a G.
Yeah.
Oh, what a fucking G.
Who
was your favorite NASCAR driver?
I was Dale Earnhardt for sure.
Yeah. It's real sad when he drove. I met him when I was 9.
Really?
Yeah, at the Atlanta Journal 500 in 1989.
That's
and
really
I met
cool.
him. I met Rusty Wallace. I met Richard Petty. My old man had a friend who was a high up at the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, the newspaper that was the title sponsor of the race. And my dad was a Grand Marshal, got up in front of 150,000 people and said, "Gentlemen, start your engines."
Awesome. That's really
which was
cool.
so
That's
badass.
super cool.
And I have a little jacket that would fit a 9-year-old that's signed by Rusty, Dale, Dick Trickle,
Priceless stuff.
Richard Petty.
That's crazy.
It's still hanging at my parents' house.
Cool.
Yeah, it's real cool. Rusty Wallace gave me his Busch beer hat,
What year was that?
1989, and again in 1990.
Did Alan Quickie sign it?
Ooh, don't remember offhand.
That would have been a cool one.
Don't remember offhand.
Or Davey Allison?
Davey Allison absolutely signed it.
Cool.
Bill Elliott signed it. I mean, the fucking G's signed it. But Earnhardt was my guy. Shaking Dale Earnhardt's hand when I was a kid was like, oh my fucking God, it's Dale Earnhardt.
Cool.
Like, yeah. Wow. That was awesome. That when he died, I was like very, very sad.
That's the first time I can remember like crying tears when someone that I didn't know died.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was Dale, and then I became a huge NASCAR fan as I got older. Dale, and then Tim Richmond was I love going back and watching Tim Richmond.
He was
race.
really
I think
good
Dale
racer.
would not have won as many championships as he did had Tim Richmond lived.
Yeah.
And then I love going watching Dan Gurney race.
Dan Gurney. Yeah. I get to drive a car of that era next week.
That's really cool.
I get to drive Parnelli Jones's Mustang next week. At Thunderhill.
Really cool.
No pressure at all.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Don't fuck that up. Shit. Those cars are like the old school race cars are terrifying.
Yeah, when you look inside it, like these guys were going 200 miles an hour in these death traps. Like, no wonder they were dying.
Yeah.
But,
And the Formula One cars at the time too were
my
like,
God. Yeah.
oh, this thing is 1,200 pounds and it's 500 horsepower. Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, and the old Indy cars.
Super sketch.
I mean, it's even seeing the stuff like what Senna died in, but before that, like really, really scary.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you've seen the documentary One. Have you ever seen that documentary?
Yep.
It's a fabulous documentary. If people haven't seen it, it's basically about the evolution of Formula One set against a backdrop of safety, really. And they go through that period in the late 60s where it was like every weekend somebody was fucking dying. And they were like, yeah, you had a 20% chance of not coming back if you started a race then.
You were a man racing back
then. Wild stuff.
Crazy.
I mean, you can't believe like what drove someone like that against those odds, you know.
We were talking before the show about Lee Keen, and Lee Keen drove a GT40 replica, like a really, really good one for the show. And he's raced Le Mans, and then he drove this car, and he gets out, he's like, those guys were crazy. Like, he yells this because like they raced 6-hour stints like this. I mean, compared to that, the new car is a couch. It's like I'm getting a massage with a couch.
If you ever see a Porsche 917 with the body taken off it, you're like,
Nope.
So what you're saying is your ankles are the crash structure? Okay. Fucking crazy stuff. Yeah. Super wild. So let's to go back to the drift school. What made you want to start a school?
Well, I mean, up until recently, there's just a huge gap in the market, and I actually worked unknowingly with Tyler doing instructing at the Porsche Experience Center. So I have some experience doing.
It's a good side gig.
Yeah, doing coaching. I ended
Do they
up.
let you wear the hat?
No, not that.
Do you have a helmet that goes over the hat?
Yeah, no.
It would be cool to have a helmet that had a brim on it. That
Yeah.
would be pretty sweet. Yeah.
But it was a cool deal, and I got to learn a lot about myself and how I need to coach people that really don't have any previous driving experience, because that was a lot of what came through the Experience Center. So have some background doing it, and of course have some experience doing drifting now. And there was really just kind of a gap in the market, and I enjoyed dealing with new people and introducing them to the sport. And I just think it's a cool thing to do. Now Federico is going to be doing something kind of similar, but we're going to be very unique in the sense that we're not going to have a home base. We're going to travel it around and kind of come to you, so to speak.
Well, you can provide different experiences in different locations.
Yep.
And, a lot of folks could afford to do the school, but maybe not if I have to also get a flight and a hotel and get out to the track. It becomes much, much more expensive.
Right.
We're fortunate that there's a drift school an hour and 20 minutes away,
right,
and we could wake up at our own bed and go there and come home. But like, not everybody has that. And people that ask us about driving schools, they typically ask us regionally. I live in Boston. Where can I go? No one's like, what's the best school in the country? I'll go anywhere.
Right.
So having the ability to come to them is good. So your car selections, you've got a Mustang, I heard, a 350.
Yep. Mustang, a 350Z, and a E46. So something for everybody, right?
That's interesting. Interesting combo.
Yep.
Yeah,
American, Japanese, and European. There should be something for you in there.
Yeah, I'm sure. And I think it would be interesting for people to try the different options as well.
Yeah, I want to put some different packages together. Offer it to anybody. Whether it's no experience on up to pro-am level experience. I want to offer a tandem class and
a tandem class. That would be fun.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, maybe something to the effect of, if you don't know what kind of car you want to drive or buy for yourself, offer something to drive all three to figure out which one you're most comfortable in.
Well, that's what the PEC does, right? That you can do stick
do
versus auto, all-wheel drive versus. That's actually, I think, one of the most interesting things that they do at the PEC is like GT3 versus turbo, or an all-wheel drive versus rear-wheel drive. Those packages allow you to really, because if you just get in a rear-wheel drive car, and then a month and a half later you drive an all-wheel drive car, it's not that much different. I mean, even if you have a lot of experience, it's tough to really see. But if you get out of one and get right into the other one, the same conditions, same track, you go, I see.
Huge difference then.
Yeah. How are you enjoying ripping the Porsches?
Well, I don't do it anymore. I just got too busy, and basically I stopped it once I started doing pro drifting. But I liked it. but the way it started is, they'd let us. We always sat right seat and we coached, and then at the end, if the customer wanted to, they'd let us swap
them,
and see what the cars are really capable of. And then when that kind of stopped, it became kind of shitty.
If it's only right seat. And
when it's only right seat, and you got this goober in here that sometimes they're great, and sometimes they'll take instructions, sometimes not so much at all. And those were pretty terrifying. But the light at the end of the tunnel was, I'm going to get to make 3 or 4 hot laps at the end of this and at least kind of get to scratch my itch too. But when that kind of went away, I'm like, it's not really worth it anymore.
Cars are pretty good though, huh?
I really wasn't a Porsche fan, honestly, until I did that. Aesthetically, they're cool cars, but they always kind of fell middle of the road for me when you compare it to cars in kind of that similar price point.
Sure.
But after driving them, they're really, really good cars.
The precision.
Yeah, they're really
the precision
good.
Is there, and the fact that the engines never feel stressed.
Yeah.
You can hammer the snot out of them, and they just never feel like... They don't get that groan where it's like, you're stressing me out. They just don't have that.
It's like what Zach said about the PDK.
Yeah.
You
could beat
it's
the piss
just
out of that
overbuilt and
turbo.
under stress big time.
The
They
proof
told
is there.
They told us the PDK is good for 3,000 launches, which is a lot of launches.
I think it might be more than that because
we did a lot.
School car.
Yeah. It's amazing. I mean, the proof is there. The cars get beat to death for hours every day, and they just... I mean, they maintain them well, but they just keep taking it.
But they don't really break.
No.
Yeah. The Taycons are, I took my dad to the PEC here in LA and for the Taycan Turbo S, thing when they first started running them at the PDK. And I was like, Dad, let's go do some hot laps. And he fucking tapped out in like 3 corners. Those cars are so bananas, and without the audio soundtrack that kind of informs your brain that you're going fast now because it's going, without that, you get really kind of disoriented.
I can't imagine.
Yeah, it's wild stuff.
I haven't done that. But
It's wild stuff. It's worth it. It's worth, if you get to have a go in a Taycan Turbo S, it's like shockingly fucking fast.
I bet.
Yeah, it's wild stuff. So what's your favorite circuit on the FD calendar?
Seattle or Irwindale are really close to me. Both of them are ovals. I'm partial to that because that's some of my background. Not that we're, there's really not that much that crosses over from oval racing to oval drifting, but I just like them for some reason. It's a whole lot of fun. I think it's really just the
big,
speed.
Fast, open.
Yeah, just consistent speed. Like Road Atlanta's the fastest track we go to. We top out just
that
over 100 miles an
is,
hour on entry.
Is serious.
But it's over. That's the fastest we get the whole track. And then it's 60, 70 miles an hour for the most part the rest of the track. Irwindale and Seattle, we enter at 80 and then start getting faster.
Whoa.
Throughout the course of the bank. And 80 miles an hour doesn't sound that fast, but when you're that close to the wall at Seattle on the driver's side and you're seeing stuff whiz past your head.
Bridgestone.
it's fast.
Yeah. Anybody who's normal and thinks 80 miles an hour is not fast, like just next time you're on the highway near the K-rail, just move 2 inches closer to it than you're used to.
Yeah.
And you go,
And imagine sliding.
Right, exactly.
And potentially having someone, jammed up your ass trying to get as close as they can to you.
Yeah.
When you're a lead driver, do you just try to focus on your line? You kind of ignore the person's chasing you at all? That's what you're doing?
Yeah, you have to block it out. If you let somebody, if you even acknowledge that they're back there, it'll get in your head and it'll end up making it worse.
Do you have you put a radio in your car? You got hype music going?
No, the only radio I have is just, two-way communication. It's my wife's my spotter, so we're in pretty constant communication back and forth on what I can do better. It's usually her telling me, you did this wrong again.
Is she talking to you during the run or only as you're cruising back to the start line afterwards?
No, it's back and forth between the runs. You're too honed in, too focused to be able to. Even if she was talking to me during it, I wouldn't even be able to process that and pay attention. It's too much going on.
Yeah. Is it a realistic thing for, someone who goes, well, that looks really appealing, to take the next step to buy or build a car and start doing amateur events? How much commitment does that take to just be a fun-having amateur? Without any real pro aspirations. How much commitment does that take?
Anybody. Yeah, I think anybody that has a decent job and, willingness to go work hard. It makes it a lot harder if you're going to pay somebody to do all of that work for you. But I'm a big proponent of buy something already done. Don't try and build something from the ground up that, is going to be the next greatest drift car that has ever been done. Buy that one that the guy got 90% done with and gave up on and finish it, or buy something that somebody's already proven. It's a whole lot cheaper to do that way. It's a whole lot less time commitment. But yeah, I think pretty much anybody can go do that.
It's really just about whatever the route is to maximizing the seat time.
Yeah. I mean, the Mustang I've got, I paid $5,000 for. It's already got an angle kit. It's already got a handbrake in it. It's got dual rear calipers, and it's ready to go drift. Anybody could take that car and go compete at a grassroots level.
That's cool.
And we bought it, 2 a.m. on the way back from St. Louis?
Yeah.
What year is it?
It's 05.
Oh, yeah, okay. So it's all right. It's like...
It's got enough power.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And they're sturdy. I mean, Chris Fix famously bought his SN95.
Yep.
Drove it for like a full season, supercharged it. It's okay. I mean, the engines hold up well. They're not too stressed. Keep the tires kind of small.
Yep, for the most part, just keep the factory power plant the way that the OEM designed it to all work together. Maybe put a little bit better fan in it or something. But just let it eat like it is and teach people in those cars. And then if they want to get something of their own and develop it a little bit further, but they'll at least have that base idea of what this car feels like. This is something that I like, and I think I want to pursue this. And of course, we're going to have some of our partners like Yellow Speed and Liqui Moly provide some parts for us, and so they can see what those things are like and hopefully push those things on them as well.
What's the name of the school? Drift University?
Drift University.
Do you have a website set up yet or anything?
No, this is actually the first time I've talked about it publicly.
All right. Well, we don't need to send anyone to somewhere that doesn't exist.
Yeah,
but when you have it, when you have it set up, we'll happily promote it for you.
Yeah. The only thing I've got live right now is Instagram, which is at Drift University.
Okay. Go follow at Drift University and follow their tour schedule when it's announced. They'll come to you.
That's right.
Do you? Will you come to LA? You would come all the way out here to the whole country?
It's going to be. It's at least for now. It's going to be around the southeast. So Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama, Florida.
Don't
North
make
Carolina.
life too hard on yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. We already kind of have a pretty.
Make sure we follow them, Zach.
I don't know who that is. That's
Drift University on Twitter is not you.
Yeah, that's.
They have 0 following and 6 followers.
Well,
so I bet you could buy that handle off of them for about $12.
I don't feel very threatened by it right now.
I think you're probably okay. Zach, do we have questions from the Patreon people?
Yep.
We have a Patreon. It's patreon.com/thesmokingtirepodcast, and you can join it. And when you do, you get to ask us questions during the show. You also get an advertising-free experience. You also don't have to wait until our Tuesday, Thursday schedule. You get to listen to the show during the live and then immediately after the live. So
I'm curious to see what some of these are.
Do you guys need a top off?
I'll take
a little
one.
quick top off of the old Elmer T.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, and this is good, isn't it?
It's very good.
Very smooth.
I'm curious to see if these are coming from our fans or our
if you want to grab
fans.
a rock. Sure. Here, that is a full glass of rock. So just stick your hand right in there. Who gives a shit? Prashanth says, "Can you explain how Formula D scoring works?" It's a little bit. It can be a little bit confusing.
It is a little bit confusing, sometimes even to us. So it's twofold. One is in qualifying. So the way qualifying for Formula Drift works is you're judged by a panel of 3 judges. They're judging you.
Shout out to Jared.
Yeah,
the homie Jared.
That's right. So they're judging you on line, which is literally where you put the car on the track. There's a predetermined line that they want you to be on, and that's going to be as close as you can get to that. The second one is angle, which is literally just how sideways the car is at each given point of the track. And then the third one, the most subjective, is style, and that's going to be your throttle commitment, how dangerous overall the run looks.
I like that description.
That's a good way to describe it. How dangerous it looks. Yeah. And Zach's got the the actual line
Yep,
pulled
so
up.
this is for Long Beach.
So the red zone in the middle of the track is where you're initiating your commitment.
Yep, that's a decel zone. That's like where the judges deem it acceptable for the car to be slowing down somewhat.
Mm-hmm. And then touch and go is where you want the ass end of the car
Yep, and
getting
that
as
is right
close
against
to
the
the wall
wall
as possible.
Outside zone one's the
And
same
then,
thing.
And then they have clipping points, which are the sort of inside apexes. They're only showing one, which is at the hairpin, but sometimes there's multiple.
Yep. Generally, Formula Drift is trying to move away from inside clips. And the reason for that is when you're trying to get as far to the inside of the track as you can, it's not promoting close tandem for the most part.
Okay.
The further you can push the lead car out, the more room you give the chase car to be able to get close to them. So
that makes sense.
FD is trying to get away from inside clips at any track possible.
So it's more about the outside, the ass end against the wall.
Also,
now.
it's harder to do outside clips because you can't see behind you, and you're not able to do a full turnaround and look because you have something else coming up ahead of you too.
For sure. Well, that makes sense. That's actually a very good explanation. Okay, let's move on. Meh says, any advice for kids getting into motorsports? Did you have dirt bikes, go-karts as a kid? Did your dad work on cars with you? What did you do when you were a kid with cars?
Yeah, so I started racing in what they call bandolero cars. It was me and my stepdad, and he helped me work on the cars.
It's like mini sprint cars?
No, it's basically like a big, it's a big go-kart with a body on it.
Oh, cool.
They have like Briggs and Stratton motors.
Yep.
It's like a go-kart with a NASCAR-ish body on it.
Yep. So he did
cool.
me.
They're really fun.
I credit him a lot to my work ethic now because he refused to work on the car unless I was down there working on the car with him, and I think that is what helped me get to where I'm at now, because I wouldn't have been able to get to where I'm at if I wasn't willing to go work on the car.
Yeah.
So it was.
I like the Legends shit too.
Yep, I did that next.
Did you? So
Yep.
that's a step up, right?
Yep.
Are they using like motorcycle engines or something?
Yep, when I was doing it, it was Yamaha 1250cc.
Look at these fucking
Yeah.
tanks.
I want one of those.
They look
Yeah.
like fucking 32 Fords, and
awesome.
like they're awesome looking, right?
They're really fun.
And
You could drift the shit out of those too, right?
it's such a short wheelbase. They're so twitchy. It teaches you a lot about car control. Tyler and I both grew up doing Legends cars, and they are an absolute ride. I still go back and do a race every now and then
Do you?
with the Legends
Do you have
cars.
a Legends car still?
I've had a couple of them, here and there, but I don't have one right now. I've got a real good friend, Doug Stevens, in South Atlanta that I'll go and rent one from. What I really like to do with them is the road courses like AMP or the road course at AMS.
That'd be so fun.
It's so much
man.
fun, y'all. You should definitely go do it.
It looks really fun. I did a cross kart one. Have you seen those? They're kind of like little sprint cars, but they have motorcycle engines in them, and they are 1-to-1 steering, and they fucking rip. I mean, you're sideways the whole time.
Looks like something.
That
It's
looks
got
really
power to
fun.
weight
sequential
similar
gearboxes.
to-
They have a 600. They've got a 750.
That looks really cool.
Super fun.
I mean,
just super loose.
Not a ton of power, but for the weight, power to weight is
Oh
awesome.
yeah, and they rev to 12.
Do they have a spec series for that?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And they sound like F1 cars. They use their bike motors. They rip. So fun. Cannot recommend highly enough. What are those things going for? Like 1500cc cross kart, 15 grand.
Yeah,
Okay.
about the same price as Legends cars.
Yeah, killer. Super fun. Hunter Sands says, do you think the skills required to be successful in Formula D translate directly into other forms of motorsport, despite it being very different on the surface?
So, from my perspective, it is easier to go. If you're good at drifting, it's easier to go from drifting and be good at other things than it is to come from other things and be good at drifting, if that answers that question.
No, I agree. Car control is car control, right?
Yep.
So if you're comfortable with the car being beyond...
I did it the other way. But
Yeah, I mean, if you're trained in grip and your car gets out of sorts, you have that panic moment.
Yeah.
And if you're used to drifting, that's just normal. So that being on the edge is a thing, but like... You're not going to be bugged out by being over the limit. Yeah.
If anything, you're going to be too aggressive driving something else and be a little out of shape, and from the outside perspective, maybe be out of control, but you're really probably not. You may not.
You're
be
probably
as,
just having more fun.
Yeah,
than
you may
everybody
not
else.
be as fast, but you're going to be up to speed faster than someone that has never drifted coming into drifting.
Yeah. Kurt Bergstedt says, how does one get into drifting as a hobby? Are there track day events? Is there a national club? What do you Google in order to find amateur drifting in your area?
I would just Google your state and drifting.
Okay.
It's pretty much that simple. There's usually a couple of sanctioning bodies, we'll say, or event promoters that do some sort of grassroots events in most states. I mean, even up in Montana and Ohio and all types all over the country, there's places that do grassroots drifting. I'm thinking of places in Seattle, obviously, in Southern California.
I was at Brainerd, Minnesota. They have a drifting. Yep. They have an amateur
they
drifting.
They do ice
there.
Drifting up there even in the winter.
There's ice racing's pretty fucking badass.
I've never done it. It looks awesome.
It's real cool. Yeah, it's real cool. It's like no wear and tear on the car, but like these spiked tires so the rooster tails looks wild.
Rowdy.
Engines run nice and cold. No problem there. Don't need a fan.
Ideal situation for engines.
There's a winter drift school in Minnesota too that I've heard is a very good time.
Really?
You can kind of get used to tandem
videos of that.
because you're going a little bit slower.
Yeah.
But yeah, with the physics still applies.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, Aaron Tillin. I think we did cover Aaron's question accidentally earlier.
Yep.
Kevin King, can you elaborate more on your thoughts on all-season tires? I live in Dallas. I deal with mainly and with dry and wet conditions. Temperatures varying between 25 and 105 degrees throughout the year. I have a 2019 Volvo S60 T6 R design.
I mean, it sounds like for his application, it's probably the right call.
Yeah. I mean, look, if you're not pushing the limits of handling like we do on our mountain roads, we're not really pushing it, but or on a track day in a real high performance application in a high performance car, a good performance all season is okay. It's fine. Like we crap on them in very fast. Like sometimes we'll get delivered a press car that for one reason or another, it's a very high performance car, but it's delivered on all seasons.
Sure.
It's not the best, not as good as
Not
the
for
other
that
opportunities.
application.
But in a Volvo R design, when the temperatures are swinging and you got to drive in the rain and it's okay.
On
it's
your daily,
fine.
It's probably the right call.
I wouldn't buy the cheapest ones you can find. I would buy ones from a good brand, that knows something about a performance tire, and I might read the reviews of that tire. But it's not the worst thing in the world. If you're not pushing the limits of grip, it's fine, and yeah, I think that's it. Miguel Flores adopted a kitten and checked out Jackson Galaxy on my recommendation. He's the cat guy. I'm a cat guy. Cool. He's the cat guy. If you have adopted a kitten or you have a cat and you want to know how to optimize your cat experience, I recommend the book Catification by Jackson Galaxy. Jackson Galaxy looks just like the name sounds like he looks. He's got real mutton chops and crazy glasses and wears rings on all his fingers. He's fucking kind of out there. But he's the cat. He's the Caesar Milan of cats. And so if you have cat behavioral issues or anything like that, I always recommend Jackson Galaxy. Anthony Loyacono, opinion on the Safari Morgan. Have you seen this thing?
I haven't. You're going to have to educate me.
It looks as awesome as it sounds to say Safari Morgan.
So it's an off-road Safari.
It is an off-road spec Morgan. I think this is fabulous.
Wow.
I'll fuck with this 10 out of 10 every day.
I'm all about stuff being off-road that looks like it shouldn't be, and this seems to fall in that category for me. Muscle cars off-road are the greatest thing ever to me.
There's an IROC with a full American flag livery that runs in the California Rally Series. It's fucking badass.
So, yeah, I'm all about this.
Yeah. No, this looks fabulous. I mean, it looks... I hope they sell this.
For sure.
The dude, look, you could see him smiling in that photo. He's ready to go. And, I mean, a Morgan is a really fun experience, a totally unique driving experience. You're sitting on the rear axle. There's so much car in front of you. The pontoon fenders make you feel like the Great Gatsby. You know what I mean? Women love
it. Like an off-road Prowler.
Yeah, but like it's actually good. An off-road Prowler would be badass.
It probably would be fun.
Yeah, I would fuck with a Prowler Safari. Absolutely.
That's probably the only application.
Drift Prowler.
If someone did an exhibition car out of a Prowler, like a drift Prowler, that would be fun.
Yeah, otherwise they're pretty bad.
Yeah. Are you guys? Do you ever have any aspirations of building one of like a wild exhibition car that's just like way offbeat? You're too focused on competition.
I came this close to building a G body. So,
like a Hurst Olds or like a Monty or a Grand National?
My vision was either to build a Grand National or build like an 80s Cup car that could drift.
Yeah.
So the answer to the question is yes.
I could see that being a good thing.
Yeah. It
Detroit
been really
Speed
cool.
has a really nice handling kit for the G body. You just have to get a manual gearbox.
Yeah, I got to
in
make a
there
little bit
somehow.
more angle out of it and do a little different thing. But I still want to do that.
I like
point.
the style. I mean, I like it. It just has to be black.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And
can't
a
be
cool
anything
exhibition car. We've been talking about this dude, Alexandre Claudin, in France.
In the 68 Charger and
well,
the
he
DeLorean.
crashed it, but he's doing a DeLorean, which is awesome.
He's a cool dude. We communicate back and forth sometimes on Instagram.
That guy
Great dude.
That guy was cool. I like him. The French are insane.
Absolutely.
But an off-road Morgan, I mean, the thing about that car that off-road Safari was based on is the Plus 4, and we drove the press car on the road. It's fucking rattly, like crazy. It's body on frame. It's ancient architecture.
Yeah.
And so, fuck it. Send that thing down the dirt trail, right? I mean, it's not gonna It's not going to be less rattly.
No.
You might as well embrace it.
Dynamically, it left a lot to be desired, but maybe on dirt, it's a little bit more fun.
It was so charming.
It was very charming.
It was so
but when
charming.
you turn the steering wheel, you don't feel the front wheels. You just kind of see the nose turn. Like, I guess that's happening. It's weird.
You're
It's
steering
real weird.
up there.
Yeah.
And you just
real
follow along.
Last one.
Last one. Joe Leonard has a theory. The best engine ever made to swap into an E30 chassis is the Nissan Hakosuka 2-liter inline 6.
Well, I have to disagree on principle that American V8s have got to be the best engines.
I've never driven an LS E30. I bet it would be rowdy.
It is.
Yeah.
I bet it would be very rowdy.
A lot of people will compete in those.
Absolutely, they
Really?
do.
Yep.
Oh, is that the move?
Yeah, especially
I
over
don't know
in
that
Europe
it's
a
the
little bit
move,
more.
but it's a move for sure.
yeah.
That's acceptable in my opinion.
I drove an E30 with an S54 in it, and it
Yeah.
was fan-fucking-tastic.
Yeah, I would say
It
either
was-
one of those would be better.
The
Sorry.
Hakosuka, like, that engine might sound good. Like, a 2-liter inline 6 probably sounds amazing, but, I mean, I don't know if it makes the torque. If you're going to go through the trouble of swapping an engine, does the 2-liter make more torque than a regular 325 IS engine? It's like 10 years older. Like, I don't
Right, that's
It doesn't make more
that's
than
the
a
question.
V8.
You're backdating the motor. Like, that's a weird, like, nobody backdates. Who takes a chassis and puts a motor 10 years older in it? Like, that's weird.
That's very weird.
Yeah. I don't think that's like a thing that people do.
Not
I don't
usual
know about
practice.
that. Interesting. It's an interesting project. That's what it is.
I don't
Are
hate
these-
it. It's
are
just
these
not for me.
E30s with V8s in it?
Yes.
I drove an E30 that had the V8 out of a BMW 740. I think it's an S60. No, it might have been an M62
I become less
or
familiar when it
S60,
gets into the bigger BMWs.
something or other. I'm not really sure exactly what it was, but it was from a 740i, and it was okay. The S54 was where it's at.
Yeah,
That's the shit.
I think so.
That's the
For
shit.
BMW, I think that's the move. Especially if you're staying within the BMW family of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, are you guys ready for the weekend? Do we need to go back to the garage and wrench right now, or is the
No,
car
we did
asleep
that
and
before
it's
we
good to
came
go?
here.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yep, we're all set.
You're good to go.
Yeah, I had a buddy bring the car out here for me, and we did have some of that to do. I literally drove straight off the track and into the trailer at the last round at St. Louis, and he drove straight here pretty much to Long Beach after that. So we pulled it out today and did some wrenching, and everything checked out good. So we're ready to go practice tomorrow.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And so it's Friday practice, Saturday competition, right?
Correct.
And I think tickets are available at formuladrift.com, I imagine.
Yeah, they
Is that-
should be.
it's where
Usually
you buy
this event
tickets.
does sell out.
It does sell out. This is a popular one. It's
Yeah.
and it's two. We got 2 weekends of events. Is
Here in Irwindale typically
FD
sell out.
this weekend, and then the IMSA race, and then the Indy race are next weekend. They were we got multiple invites from people to go both this weekend and next weekend. I'm going to the Ohana Music Festival next weekend, which I'm very excited about. That's Pearl Jam's festival on the beach. It's on the beach
bet
here.
that'll be cool.
It's going to be fucking amazing, and it was canceled. It was canceled last year, so my tickets carried over, and I'm a huge Pearl Jam fan, and I was supposed to see 4 shows in the spring summer of 2020 that were
It's
all
all zero.
it was all canceled, and so this is the first time seeing them back. But give Give Drift University a follow on Instagram, and especially if you're interested in learning how to drift. If you're in the Southeast, that's going to be coming up. That's going to be the way to do it. And what's your Instagram? Taylor Hull
at Taylor Hull 82.
Taylor Hull 82 on Instagram, and look out for the ATS-V at Streets of Long Beach this weekend.
Yep.
Taylor and Tyler, thank you so much for coming to see us. We appreciate it.
Thank you guys very much for having us.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
It's a great show. And for this beautiful Audi S1 auto
all Tyler.
art. Thank you, Tyler. This is
You're not into that.
This is a very
No,
G
I'm
move.
into it for sure, but
We have this
You want
thing
LS
gets
swap it?
sideways.
full credit. Yeah, we're gonna LS swap it and make it better.
Yeah, and I was here more just for Motorsport for Taylor.
Oh, it's all good,
Yeah.
man. We're happy to have both of you. Thank you guys for coming, and thank you for listening. And get in on that. If you want to get your questions answered on the next show, the patreon.com/The Smoking Tire Podcast is how you become a member. You will never have to listen to advertising again. You can get your questions answered, and you don't have to wait for everybody else to get the Tuesday, Thursday broadcast. You get it right away once we finish the show. That's our show. Have a good night, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Tomorrow, live people, Don Osborne is with us at 12 p.m. Pacific. All right, bye.